another video, pretty much while I'm driving again on this loyalty thing, and pretty much a lot of it just ranting on, and just about crazy stuff I'm looking at. So I mean, pretty much when it boils down, man, it's like everybody want to be a community. Well, majority of us want to be a community, work with each other, help each other, build up a black society. I mean, you go in history, everybody that stood up for just black people in general, they either broke, pretty much been assassinated, just it's not a good look. Anybody who stand up for us, you're getting taken out. You're gonna die broke for the cause. But that goes back to what I was talking about with Martin Luther King. He was at the head of all those pastors, and supposedly the guys was friends. They all had churches. Why they couldn't put in to help him and assist him in all the stuff that was going on? Even with Malcolm X, he had the Nation of Islam. All those guys. I don't know in details whether they did it or not, because for one, I could do the research and look into it, and for two, I mean, I wasn't around at that time, so I can't really give a clear cut, in detail to what did they do to help the family. I know they did something, but the way things are, when it comes down to people actually helping you, it's all about what they get out of the deal. Because prime example, I know somebody that did something for a person, and they was like, well, I don't want nobody to know, but then came right back and said, who did you tell that I did this for you? And that threw me off. I'm like, if you didn't want nobody to know about what you're doing, why would you come back and ask me, who did I tell? You should have just left it at that. And the person was like, well, they didn't really tell nobody, but some people figured it out on their own, and they was like, oh, okay. So it's like you really wanted that recognition. That's the whole reason why you did it in the first place. And just crazy, man. When it comes to people, I mean, you got people out here. Malcolm died, Martin died. Those are like the major figure people. You had people behind the scenes, that was still a big political stance. Huey P and all with that drug and what was that thing called? Oh, I can't think of the name of it right now. My brain's kind of losing. But I mean, even with the US movement organization, they one of their leaders got shot doing a debate, situation with the Black Panthers, and that set off a little flame. I'm like, dude, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's just like shaky ground. Anybody wants to stand up, no, you about to lose your life for it. If you're not about to lose your life, hey, step down. And I'm not saying that it's bad if they step down, because hey, you fighting a cause for people that gonna forget about you tomorrow. Especially in the society we in right now, in this generation that I'm actually living through and seeing my kids go through, because they're the next boomers to come in. It's sad, man. Me and my friend, this older guy, was talking to him, and he was saying that this generation is gonna be, it's not gonna prosper. They're gonna be worse than the generations all before, because they're not gonna grow. A lot of people not looking at getting married, having kids, that was the whole traditional, basically American way. You know, have a family, buy a house, get a good job versus being on your own job. You know, get a good job. Like one guy on YouTube, he basically said he did basically everything that was supposed to be done in life, and he still wasn't happy. Still didn't get everything that was so-called supposed to be owed to him. You know, his he went to the military, he went to college, graduated, even started his own business, and pretty much he was roughing it out that whole time. He said, man, he just knew it was something better than trying to do it the way that, you know, the system tells you to do it. You know, buying a house, you know, 30-year mortgage. If you have enough money to do a 15-year mortgage. I mean, that's pretty hard. Most people don't even qualify for those loans right there. And then they, I mean, just pretty much all you know is 30-year fixed mortgage. I mean, if you do it adjustable, I mean, that's on you. The way economy is flexing right now, that's how they got a lot of people back in the day with those adjustable mortgages. Well, 1 month is $500, next month is $1,500. Hell, I heard people, their mortgages was skyrocketing to like $3,000. You know, and it's just crazy, man. The way society works, everybody has to get over on everybody in order to live. Even like converting over to the streets, you know, everybody's getting over on everybody. We'll sit there and start a foundation. We'll get millions of dollars devoted to doing something for the culture. But then we'll have a situation like in Chicago where the guy Muhammad goes and throws a brick into the Chinese nail salon because they was beating up on these black women. Then turn around, they go right back to the nail salon. Why for one, why can't they go to another nail salon? And for two, they said it was a black nail salon that was a mile or so down the road. You know, just like people in my family, you know, friends, all of them, they always tell me, oh man, why you eat at these places? You eat at different places all the time, man. You're gonna be messed up, your stomach. I'm like, dude, how you gonna ever know that the food tastes good unless somebody take that initial step to go see if the food is good or not? You know, whether you do it or a family member or something like that. How you gonna know? You ain't gonna never know. You know, just like with people taking a chance on things. Like I was going back to on the like one video or two, like the first video I made when I was talking about donating to people or buying that book from that guy Zoe Williams. You know, everybody's quick to say, oh man, they ain't got nothing for me. I don't think they can work for me. I don't think they can do nothing for me. How you know? You ain't even tried. That's like when you're sick, somebody tell you some stupid remedy, you like, oh man, nah, I'm good. Hell, when you on your deathbed and you about to damn near die over a cold, flu, or anything, you'll try anything. The pain, you hurting, you know, you get shot, somebody say, hey man, put pressure on it, but it hurts. Hey, it's gonna stop the bleeding. And like, hell, just any kind of remedy that help you with that pain, you'll do whatever it takes. But it's like, why should we get to the point where basically America is kicking a lot of people to the curb, and it's gonna be even greater to the point where it kicks damn near not just all the blacks. I mean, just anybody that ain't got no money, you getting kicked to the curb. You know what I'm saying? To the point where you're focusing on the wrong things and trying to make a stand on the wrong things. You know, everybody's really getting together, making money, talking about what they're gonna do, and nobody's doing nothing. When it boils down to it, we put all our dollars into this fashion, living a extravagant life. You know, most people, they lose their job, they can't function worth nothing. You know, I've known people, you know, all the way on top, you know, sitting on top of things, you know, got all this money, lose that good paying job, you know, they held it down, but life was kind of rough for them. You know, they had to make sacrifices. You know, that's to the point where if you don't have a savings, you know, just anything, the average person, like what Tone says, a guy from Tone Talks, he did a study on the wealth of America, specifically with, you know, just blacks, Asians. I'm talking about everybody. Pretty much, man, black people as a stand, check to check, you know, living from check to check every month. And people can, you know, can say and contest to it. The money that you make from your job, let's say the average person who works at McDonald's, if they got an apartment, especially now in Atlanta, it's, you looking at, they just say a cheap one, about $800, and that's not too much in a nicer neighborhood, because I done been in apartments for $1,200, you know, recently. Back in the day, 6 years ago, apartments were like $800 and low, you know, $700. That was the cheapest I started paying when I moved out for rent for apartments. It was like $700. You might catch a deal or something if you go to the rough part of town. But it's like you live from check to check, check to check. You know what I'm saying? And the crazy part with me was I had a good job. I chose when I had my younger kids to fall back to make a little less so I can be there and raise them. That's what I'm still doing now. Because I can go back to making more money, but the point of it is, I'm going to be sacrificing my kids, you know what I'm saying, to actually make the money. I mean, like right now, working with my kids on their reading to get their reading topped off, because, you know, when it comes down to it, average young boy can't read word for lick. They go through life, you know, faking it till they make it. Hell, my grandma was, you know what I'm saying, I think she had like an 8th grade education. I was raised by her. When it came down to it, she actually, I can give her this, she would always spend her money to try to find all these tutorials, find all these little books, you know, just to help me out, help me and my brothers out to actually do better in school. You know, my cousins, they, you know what I'm saying, went to college. They would give us hands, you know, try to help us with that extra step. But when it came down to it, she didn't know. Hell, the average kid now, man, you got the internet, everything ahead of you. I used to go through a Encyclopedia Britannica, and what was the other ones? The Book of Knowledge, to the point where I had went through all them to do reports. No laptop, no computer. Hell, the first time I got a computer, it was let's see, 99. I had bought my own computer at 99. Other than that, I always dealt with computers in school, but never had one at home. My cousin, shoot, she had a computer, but couldn't touch it, because that was her pride and joy. You know what I'm saying? That's how she did all her reports, everything. Without that computer, you know what I'm saying? Because she wouldn't have too much of nothing. She was already in high school going to college, so she wouldn't let us touch that computer for nothing. You know, if we need anything, we tell her, and she'll go look it up, print out some papers or whatever, and give it to us. It's to the point where a lot of these kids now, they got this whole sense of entitlement about stuff. I mean, parents, they sacrificed a lot, you know what I'm saying, for the kid, every generation to do better. You know, same thing, this guy, he was complaining about how his brother went to private school. He didn't get a chance to go to private school. He was mad, but when we did the breakdown, his dad barely graduated high school. I think he probably didn't even go to high school. I think he said he stopped at the same thing with my grandma, around the 8th grade education, you know, But this guy went to college, got an associate degree, ended up going to the military because he didn't want to go to college no more. That was his choice. His dad didn't have the choice to go to high school and college. You know, back in those days, you had to be a part of the elite class to even go to college. I know in some instances, like most areas, to go to high school, you had to go to the big city. You know, my family was from a small city, Greenville, Georgia, and the high schools and stuff was probably a little ways down from there in Greenville. They had to go if they wanted to go to the high school. You know, and it just was crazy how the kids don't appreciate this stuff. Going back to the loyalty issues, to where you sacrifice so much for your kids as a good parent. I mean, the average person, they just doing it for recognition. You know, a lot of these people, like even with sports, a lot of guys, you know, they kick their kids into sports. Kids be a 5 running back, you know, good receiver. But the boy can't even read a cat in the hat book. You spend so much time focusing on drills and stuff, you're not even looking at the boy academics. All the way from a child, you got him in every Pee-wee league, sport, everything. But when it comes down to the academics, the boy can't even read a book. The boy don't know how to add. How you gonna do the contract? Like I always tell my son, I say, you gotta learn how to add and do this money. I said, if you like spending money, you gotta know how to count money. My son, he wants to own a Tesla dealership. I told him, I said, you gotta get good at reading, you gotta get good at math. You gotta be able to write contracts, you gotta be able to read contracts. I say, because if you're gonna own a dealership, everything's on you. It ain't just like the internet where you do that disclaimer where you have to always hit the X, click, and everything. That's gonna be non-void, boy. You gotta sit there and read through that whole thing, or get money to get a lawyer and have them read through it. Either way, it's gonna cost you. Either you read it yourself, the cheaper version, or you're gonna be putting out money to get somebody to read it for you. Either way it go, that math or that reading is gonna play a big part in people's lives. And you know, that's why I've been telling my wife, you know, I'm staying on top of them. You know, and it just goes back, man, to it's like what are you willing to sacrifice? I mean, we all talk about how we want to raise the community, help everybody, you know, we all be on this Black Wall Street status and have these banks and everything and have all these black bits. We don't even have a district.